What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC channel dedicated to Juventus and dedicated to draws, I guess. So here's another one with the mighty Torino 1-1. It ends, and yeah, I mean, it's at the point where I don't think there's anything to get fired up about anymore. But other than,
We'll do our best.
Are you
You're
sure?
gonna do your best to get fired up? Okay, well, let's
you two were
fire it
fired
up
up in the
then,
green room.
because I don't think it's fucking happening. But yeah, the mighty Torino. It's a 1-1 draw, and we're gonna tackle that game and everything in the aftermath. As yeah, I don't know. It's still some mixed feelings, but not really. Not really. The tide's starting to turn. We are getting news yesterday outside of the match too, with involvement from La Società, and that's obviously Scanavino, Ferraro, Elkan, Giuntoli, and then Motta himself involved. So we'll talk about that as well, and just everything in general in the aftermath. We've got a quick turnaround on Atalanta too. I got Lucci, I got Scanga, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens here, boys. First off, how you guys doing, regardless of the game?
I'm
not
great.
sure how you do?
Yeah, I'm all right. No, I was gonna I'm sure Skanga's having a rough go since his Steelers lost yesterday too. So he's in the dumps.
Tough day yesterday, but I actually have a life outside of all this. So
The old Steelers, eh?
shit to do outside of all this. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if Green Bay can get the job done against the Eagles. God, I hope so. That'll be tough, though. We'll see. We'll see. I'm used to sports disappointment, so if Juve draws Torino and then the Packers lose, I'm fucking totally accustomed, all right? I think the Leafs lost last night, too. Jesus Christ.
They did.
Yeah, perfect.
We won't
Perfect
talk about
weekend. But again, at least I got the family to pick me up there, and they've been doing their job this season so far. So when it comes to the news, there's not a whole lot going on in the news. Fagioli's been attacked for apparently this cool-down thing where he turned down, and then honestly, it got shut down immediately by him saying, no, there was no refusal on that. This is just stupid, and this is the level it gets to when a team is struggling. And Fagioli has been the highlight of a bunch of shit. We are going to bring up Fagioli just when it comes to a game time standpoint and certain decisions from the coach, obviously, because we do have to ask why. Like, it's fine that it's not that it's fine that we could be struggling, not being these teams, but what does it that actually finally brings a turnaround? Because we have had some good performances, and we've never been able to just get the wheels actually in motion. So we're going to ask, what does it take? Is he hung up on certain players? Koopmeiners, he'll be coming up as well. Like, I fail to believe that he's not capable when it comes to Thiago Motta. But what is it in fact? Because we get this battle. Does he have enough? Does he not have enough? Even with injuries versus non-injuries. We're going to go through it all together. The only rumor, regardless to transfers, Vega. Vega, again, coach of Chelsea, Maresca, says he is not available and refuses that he's even going to be available. That's it for news headlines, everybody. And Vlahovic, eyes are on him getting back into the matches. And Conceição, it's still listed as day-to-day, and Vlahovic still was training separately. So that's it. You're caught up on the news. Fellas, the game. Starting lineup, Di Gregorio, Savona, Gatti, Kalulu, McKennie, Luis Thuram, Yildiz, Koopmeiners, Imbangula, Gonzalez. The funny thing about this was I saw probably about 5 graphics, and all of them had Douglas Luiz in a different position. So he ended up being at the pivot rather than more advanced. Players aside and positioning, what did you think of the starting lineup? And we'll start with Scanga here and then go to Lucci.
More than, again, I say this, I feel like I say this every post-game show. More than enough to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucci, what do you got to say about the lineup?
Yeah, not much to add to that. It should be more than enough.
What was your two's preference on Douglas Luiz? Being the more advanced one?
I think I would have preferred him, in the more advanced role. Yeah.
Scanga, what do you think?
tough because I thought he played well yesterday where
He
he
did.
was.
He did
He
play
did.
well. He did play well.
So with Locatelli out, with Locatelli in, I think it's a different story. With Locatelli out,
Fair.
I like them back there.
All right. But yeah, more than enough. I think we can all agree. Let's get to the game. Because it ain't going to take long to get through the highlights, boys. There's
Nope.
not a whole lot there. There's a pretty drab affair, to be honest. But it's the first derby in a while that had a little bit of spice. And at the start, anyways.
Right at
and
the
just
bat,
moments. It ended up seeing both coaches get tossed, too. So we'll talk about that. But 8 minutes in, Yildiz just, I said it a million times, this kid just needs to be on the pitch. It doesn't really matter where. At the 10, right wing, left wing. This was sick. He left Linetti absolutely standing flat, like looked like a dummy. It was insane. Great dribble. And that's a big dude to beat short side with a hit like on the ground like that. When Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, that's a hell of a goal. Hell of a goal from Yildiz.
Yeah.
Didn't realize how much pace he put on it till you had the view from behind.
Yeah.
He was through traffic, but still through traffic, a lot of pace. Is the left his strong foot? I don't think I
No,
got
that's
that.
his weak foot.
Yeah, he's weak.
And it's funny too because like when I watched it live, I was like, I don't think that's gonna have enough. Was my initial reaction when it's like, oh, I think he kind of, didn't get all of it. But man, great goal, fantastic goal. He's a bright spot.
What do you always say about big keepers? Got to keep
Slow.
it on the ground.
Keep it on the ground, get it low. But yeah, great goal there. And then we start to see one of these setbacks where it seems like we go up and we just want to cruise control. 14th minute, 6 minutes after that, they get a chance because they started getting all these corner kicks, and it was corner after corner after corner. Linetti on like the second one after our goal, he ends up being open at the back post and he chests it down. He just can't keep his volley anywhere near the target despite being 7 yards out. Thankfully he misses there. And then there's just a lot of nothing, a lot of Torino possession and trying to drum up attacks on us, but we were just counterattacking. We got a couple of moments off there. Obviously we got a goal that was disallowed and people were talking about Gonzalez and being offside, whatever. He was offside. It was the right call. It was it was a chunk here out of his shoulder. People are thinking it was just his arm. It's not. It's the rule. I still think it's a garbage rule. They need to adjust it. They never will. I'm fine with it. You get to the 30th minute. Gatti had a good drive forward, distribute the ball to Yildiz. Great cross in. He heads it just wide. I think if he hits target, I'm not so sure Milinkovic-Savic is getting there. So, yeah, that's really a 45th minute, though. Try to get to half.
Wasn't there a play where I was running the main yesterday, and a lot of people got upset with the Koopmeiners to Mbengula? He missed a pass. It was like a 2-on-1, and they kind of flubbed the pass. Was that not in the first half?
I think he kind of chipped the pass. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good pass. But I think the defender tracked his run.
I mean, naturally when, I don't know.
It was a lost chance. I think everyone agreed that was, you got that, something like that, like a 2-on-1.
Guys start to get,
but we're nitpicking here, man.
Not even nitpicky. It's like,
true.
Koopmeiners is starting to get more and more heat as time goes on. And we've seen this time and time again, guys that are on bigger price tags and whatnot. And when you expect a certain level of performance, and we'll talk about expectations, like your personal expectations for certain individuals, because everyone's got their own. And as time goes on, and maybe media also fuels a lot of that as well in terms of your expectations for guys and whatnot. But that's just now everything's on a microscope. You can miss like your first pass of the game and it's like, that's it. This guy gone. See you later, etc. But Koopmeiners is becoming one of these glaring items that people are raising doubts now in Motta because this guy maybe is at the back of the line when it comes to midfielders. And we'll talk about that. So
Well, Fajoli's way at the back of the line.
Poor kid.
Well, I don't know if that's even justified, considering his best game is better than a couple of the other guys that were in there. But how are you going to ever come out of that hole? How are you ever going to break out of that?
Yeah. You're
never going to do it at 5 minutes at a time, or like yesterday, nothing. But we'll talk about that. 45th minute. I don't understand this. You've got 7 or 8 players.
Yep.
Versus 3. And they find Vlasic at the top of the area, and he gets enough time. Absolutely lace that thing. Hell of a shot. No keeper's stopping that one. I'll tell you that. But it's just frustrating that amongst 8 guys, there was 2 in the area. Vlasic was one of them. There was another player ahead of him. And we had bodies everywhere, and nobody could close that down with enough time. It's pretty frustrating. I
agree. Tudam was right there, and I think Gatti was right behind Tudam. If he put that ball an inch to the left, it's hitting the post and coming out. Like,
yeah,
they had it covered. Like, they had the block, but where he hit that, he'll never hit that shot again.
I was just going to say
that 100 times.
Yeah,
he misses it 99.
Yeah,
like that was an unbelievable hit. First of all, like, I'm not taking anything away from the goal. But like they did, like his shooting lane was blocked except for that
post
one.
Well, I guess it wasn't blocked because it went in.
And people were getting on Diego.
I saw that too.
Like,
Thuram had a lot of distance to, not a lot, but he had some distance to get back to it. I'll pull something up here so we can kind of at least.
Boy, oh boy! Like, that was.
It was a hell of a hit, though.
Yes.
A hell of a hit. I mean, I don't think we could say otherwise when it comes to that. Here, let's take a look, because maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm out to lunch here, but
probably.
The frustrating part of that goal is not even just not closing it down to another inch, but right before halftime, like a minute, 30 seconds before halftime, that just fucking kills everything you had going.
So this is just the start, like kind of that sequence with the ball on the flank there. But yeah, there's not much there. And the funny thing is, you still have a guy that's unattended to on the complete outside on the right flank there. But he didn't end up being an issue. So Vlasic right now is at the top of the semicircle, like the 22 yards there.
Yep.
Nico Gonzalez is right there as well. That's actually Nico. So what's hilarious to me is, if you're going to go through all that trouble to track back and be that far as well, he's another player that's closer than Thuram or anybody. And if you're that far back, like, it's these mental lapses too that get goal side. You're not going to do anything on this guy from standing behind him by 3 feet. And the funny thing is, Kalulu and Gatti there have the player ahead of Vlasic. So they just stayed there. They didn't move beyond. And why would you? If you have a player directly in front of you, you're going to defend that. McKennie seemingly has no idea that Lazaro is wide out on the right there, despite playing fullback. That's fine. From the player on the sideline right now, I believe it was Souza. It could have been someone else. Can't tell on the screen either. But you've got 3 players immediately there, and then Thuram is in the middle. As the play gets closer, Gonzalez keeps his distance behind Vlasic, and Thuram has a further distance to be on the face and the goal side of that player.
What we don't know is that Gatti or Kalulu might have called Gonzalez off. But to your point, like, you're there. Defending is a team effort.
And that'd be hilarious to call him off if you're not even on him.
Right. I'm just... Yeah. I don't think it's fair to cook Nico over this, because, like, we don't know. He might have been... Tudam might have called... Somebody might have called him off to say, I got him. Well,
but nobody did. So it's either it's a failure of one or it's a failure of the group. Ultimately, it's all a failure of the group, because you drew against a dreadful Torino.
This is what bothers me the most, is that, yes, it was an easily avoidable goal, and we've seen that many, many times this season, unfortunately, but I don't know how we start singling out certain players. There's 11 of them and the coach. You can't just blame one player for the goal.
Is that it's a different guy every fucking game, which shows a bigger problem.
Why are we not playing as a unit, as a team? Like, we can't. It's a team game. You can't start blaming one player. Like, everyone, okay, let's pick on Vlahovic.
Who in the fuck is blaming one player for a million draws? Every guy has been accountable for mistakes. If you are center backs, I'd go as far to say even a goalkeeper. At some point, you got to get command of who is marked and who is unmarked. I'm pointing out highlights saying even McKennie has seemingly no idea that Lazaro is wide out to that side. If that first guy beats his man, gets a crossover, you have multiple lapses in coverages. If Nico Gonzalez has done the work to come 3 feet away from a player at the top of the area and nobody else is directly in front of that player, how is that so wrong to say, hey man, why not just take the extra 3 steps and actually fight for coverage?
Only he knows the answer to that. Mm-hmm. Okay, but even still, why was he there in the first place?
Bingo.
Right? Not that he was doing anything wrong, but if you're there in the first place, yes, try to cover the guy, but I don't even know why he's there. I don't know. Just whatever.
Would have been closer than any of our mids to the guy that ended up scoring the goal. So nonetheless, it's a shitty trend. It's a shitty trend that keeps going on. Brutal goals that are avoidable. This one was at least a hell of a hit. But does it soften the blow on a game that you ultimately should be getting by? 65th minute, Koopmeiners blast one right at Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. He did everything right there, chested the ball to the side of his defender, hammered it. I still say that thing, pick a side and just a little bit over. That guy's not even going to react quick enough to block it. But 75th minute, good work from Mbangula. Beats his guy, gets to the left, crosses it in, and Nico Gonzalez just couldn't hit it right with the right. I think he'd end up hitting his shin and still forced to stop from Milinkovic-Savic. And then you get to 94th minute was the next actual chance, and it was just a set piece Douglas Luiz put in. And Thuram directs it towards goal, but not with any kind of venom or sting whatsoever. Easily caught by Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. Your game ends there. It's 1-1, and I think shit's getting interesting. I said it yesterday on the pregame show, and I said this not being a victory doesn't put him immediately, like Motta, on the hot seat, but January, I said, would put him on a hot seat because top 4, it's just a must any way you slice it from this project. It has to be achieved. So right now, it's still achievable. So he's not like there, but he's just tightrope walking right now because to only getting 2 consecutive wins in league play once, and they were the first 2 games against Como and Verona, is just never going to be good enough, even if you are undefeated. And that's the reality.
Wow.
This is Juve. We're not fucking Cremonese. So, and we're sure as fuck aren't Bologna. So I really, when it comes to performance, I don't even really know what to say that hasn't been said. But I'm going to get your thoughts on this actual game. And before we even get to Motta, but thoughts on this game. What went wrong? What could we have done better? How do you feel about this team? Watching this team play that match. Uninspired was a word many years.
Oh, I mean, yeah, uninspired would be a good word. We did not nearly attack their back line nearly enough. We created how many chances? Maybe 4 off the top of my head. Like, wasn't many.
I think it was 3.
Yeah,
I think we had 2 big chances yesterday.
It's just like first of all, you gotta take advantage of your chances. First of all, like Nico probably should have scored that one he hit off his shin, but we're just. And even defensively, it's a mess. It's a mess back there. I don't know who's leading the line there, if it's Gatti or Kalulu, but they look bench players. You know, they don't look like they're up to the task, especially week in and week out, and we keep seeing it. with these costly mistakes. But
I don't know about burying your chances when you barely create any, because yesterday we just you said in one breath we barely created any, and then it's like, oh, he's got to bury that one in the 75th minute that he finally gets to have a shot on goal. I'm not really feeling that. Yeah, we shouldn't attack players, right? So no, let's leave Nico. He's cool. Skanga, your thoughts on that performance?
We're terribly consistent, right? We're consistent. Like you shouldn't. There's nothing. We're consistently inconsistent. Actually, no, I'd say we are consistent. Like we're not. I don't think we're getting any worse. I think a lot of people, but we're not getting any better. I think that's the issue. Is that we've been on this sort of, we've been like this for however many games. All right, Bertle's out. He's like, fuck. Oh no, he's back. Yeah. We've just kind of like we don't have games where we kind of blip up. Like we had that Leipzig game where it was high, and then we fell off after that. We were sort of doing that. Now this past maybe month, it's just been like flatlining a little bit. And you need, where is the spark to get us? Is that a player? Is that Motta switching things up? Is that switching the goalie? Is that, what is it? Changing the ice cream at the cafeteria. That's on Motta to figure out. Like you have to break that way that we're playing.
To Mitch's point here, this is what infuriated me most about this game too, is you knew that you're going to have to get the job done because you don't have a lot of impact on the bench there. He had Adzic, who is still an unknown. Let's be serious. Intriguing player, but Jesus, nothing more than that. Weah, who can be hit and miss, and he's been out for a while too. Like it's just like he had a little good spurt there where he was a good support piece. And then you've got Fagioli, who can't get any damn minutes either. We'll get to. There's no impact there. No Chico Conceição. Like, you have to get the job done with the guys that are out there. And you could tell when it hit a certain point, probably the hour mark, the 60-minute, that it just probably ain't going to come, because if that's where it's come to, and I will, the most frustrating part for me, at least, I don't know about you fellas, but there was nothing stopping us in the first half from having 63% possession like we did the second half. That's the part that pissed me off the most. You got up on Torino, okay, who, to use Ant's word, they stink, okay? They were 1 win out of their last 10. They were scoreless in 7 games going into that match. This was the prime candidate to get that 3 points and pick yourself up before a brutal run. So when you go up 1-0 and again you hit the switch and you get into coast mode, we finished the first half with like a split, practically a 50-50 on possession. There was nothing stopping us from still dominating the ball on that Torino side. And you did that, and they kept coming at you, and they kept getting corner after corner after. They weren't threatening in open play. Like, I was never like, oh my God, like they're going to score pretty quick. But it was corner after corner after corner. And you're like, you know what? Something might happen eventually. Like, let's wake up and not just sit back on the counter. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I saw something here from Anthony Mamoletti. We have no quality or leadership. I disagree with. I think we have the quality. It's just
the quality is not the issue. I don't think. Yeah,
it's just not like
leadership. Maybe I can get on board with that.
I gotta say this: if 168 million doesn't have you enough to get by the likes of Torino or Venezia, then we might as well fold it in. And I'm ready to start up the Cosenza cast, because that's insane. We have enough to be getting by the teams that we can't. The list goes on. Cagliari, Lecce, Parma, Venezia, now Torino, Parma's in there. Like, you have enough.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Even with the guys that have been injured, you have enough. I think we're at a point where there is no excuse. Like, for me, there's no excuse to draw this team.
Now, I did pose a question yesterday. Is this the time to bring it up?
Yeah. I don't think we need to get into man of the match. It officially went to Vlasic. I
Did it really?
Yeah, and I strongly disagree. Who did you have as your man of the match?
Who else would you give it to?
I thought Douglas
Yildiz.
I thought Douglas Luiz had a great game too.
Yeah, okay, fair shout.
The three guys for me would have been like tops for Juve were Nico, Yildiz, and Luiz. And if I had to give a man of the match, it would be Yildiz.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that's fair.
Skanga, is that who you had? Yildiz? You
No,
had Luiz.
I had Douglas Luiz, yeah.
Had a good game. Game. And even other people were on the fence about it. Some were still saying it wasn't a good performance from him. But we'll get into that after Skanga.
Why though? Like, what do they want from this guy?
I don't know. I was happy just to see him for 90 minutes. So I'm happy with that. That's what's come to. But Skanga, let's get to your...
Okay, so I was labeled as delusional yesterday. And I was like,
Fair.
Am I really? It's sometimes I might.
I'm sure the wife thinks so sometimes, but anyways.
You want?
Well,
but
let's
hey,
keep wife opinions out of this because I tell you, I take some heaters. Around here.
So I ran some numbers yesterday, and through the 19 games, these are the averages. Just Serie A games. Mm-hmm. We averaged 61% possession, 2.2 big chances per game, 13 shots a game, 4.5 shots on goal per game. Yes, we're drawing a lot of games, but we're not losing a lot of games. So I'm sort of stuck in like this purgatory of fandom, and it's like, a lot of people are jumping off the cliff. Everything's got to change. And then there's people like me who are, well, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So for you guys, are we closer to falling off the cliff, or are we closer to turning this thing around? Like we're not losing, we're not being outplayed in any games.
Right.
I don't think we're being outplayed in any games.
Maybe Tuesday.
But we are being outplayed in situations. Like we lose like small situations, which you have to finish. So for me, I think we're on the edge of doing great things, which kind of keeps me positive. But for you guys, like where do we stand for you guys? Like we're not losing games. I understand we're not winning them. I can see the frustration, but where are we for you guys? Are we right there?
Lucci go. Yeah.
Well, like Skanga, I see what you're saying. Like the light at the end of
the question instead of just saying, "Are you watching the game?" Answer the question. Have an actual conversation with somebody.
I'm like, whoa.
It's time to grow up, kid. So let's have a conversation. Where are we? I understand it's frustrating, but where are we at? Like we have the talent. I don't think people think we don't have the talent on this panel, but where are we at for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. There is I want to believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of things we need to clean up. And that's mostly defensively, in my honest opinion. But that comes down, the coach has got to figure it out. Given the players you have, this is what you got. You got to make it work one way or another. And that's
is it all on Motta then for you? Is that what?
Sorry?
It's all on Motta then for you to figure out?
Not all of it. And I was just going to say, like, a lot of these goals we concede are easily avoidable. And that comes down to your players having to step up into a certain situation. But and then I see comments like this. Sorry, I was just reading it. Someone saying, well, if Motta's the coach, we're 1,000% not making top four. Like, that's just stupid. Like, what makes you say that?
Okay,
like, we're not.
Relax. It's because there are major doubts on Motta. There are major doubts on him, whether we want it or not. We can like the guy. Everybody wants the guy to succeed because it means that Juve is doing well.
That sounds like, to me, that sounds like someone who doesn't want him to succeed.
Why? Because you have okay, I'm gonna just lay this out.
Doubts and saying 1,000% we're not making top four if he's the coach are two different things.
That would be major doubts from that individual, okay, which is allowed and acceptable, okay. And I'm gonna start laying in here because it's completely fine to have doubts, guys. I can't stress this enough that I understand we're not losing. I understand that it's moments. I get that. That's actually valid from Skanga. Like, if you clean up these moments, if you can clean up these avoidable goals, hey, we might be in a better situation. The problem is that that's not the sole issue. The problem is that you have a series of bad trends that I said this, I can't remember how long ago it was, when things were actually better in the standings. We had a better picture. It was like, okay, you're still close to doing some damage. We got to get this right now. The problem is more leaks have developed. So now it's like you're on a boat. You got 3 holes to kind of like try and patch with your hands. You got 2 friggin' hands. And that's what it is. You're picking, what the hell am I patching this game? Because starting games on time was an issue. Then we started doing that. As of late, we've actually been good at that.
Yeah.
Starting getting the jump on teams. What's another bad trend? Well, it's this let up immediately on 1 goal. Is that coming from him? Is it not coming from Motta? The fact of the matter remains that we've been here for a long time. And I've said it. I said it when it was, we're only 4 points, but now we're 9. Now I said it. It's like you are on the verge this whole time of the wheels falling off or turning it around and being solid if you can clean up the mess. The issue is, what is that thing keeping this team from turning it around and actually getting there? If you're asking, if people are making statements that this guy just can't do it, and that's their own personal opinion. I personally don't feel that way. I think he's more than capable of turning this thing around. And then we get into the battles over the players and the individuals. And we go through this vicious cycle. We go through this vicious cycle where, no, you know what? Like, it's players. No, it's the coach. I'm going to say this. I have little sympathy. Yeah, we lost our best player to an injury. But if you're telling me that these guys that have remained, and a lot of them that have been here for quite a big period of time, are not capable of beating the teams we're drawing, I'm going to say no. Just like this match, when we started the post-game coverage, just like a ton of the other ones that end up in draws, there's more than enough there to get the job done. Why it's not happening? Well, it could be a number of things. But you accepted a position that puts you at the forefront. And you are also level to one of the worst periods and worst managers in Juve's history. So for fans to have major doubts is more than fair when your name is linked to record that is followed by Del Neri. And that is just natural.
So we're closer to falling off a cliff for you then.
No, well, in my personal opinion,
we're trending the wrong way.
I don't know if he's going to do what I personally, and this is just me, what I see in the games. I don't know if he's going to personally do that. I don't know if Motta's going to personally do what I think it would take. I feel like all the things he talked about, and I'll tell you why, I'll explain. I won't just throw it out there and leave it hanging. I feel like all the shit he talked about at the start, he isn't actually allowing to maybe create. Are we a scary team? Teams don't fear us in the way we play.
No.
Because you sit back. You have a chance to put them under or really put them under duress, but we don't do that. Meritocracy, do you think that there's merit in a lot of these starts? Do you think Koopmeiners has merited starting every single game?
Probably not.
Honest question.
Probably not.
He probably should have.
But I also don't think he's our issue right now.
He could be if he's occupying a spot out of the midfield and games are won and lost in the midfield. And if you're banking on him to be a creative force when he hasn't created, that's a problem.
It is.
Okay, but yesterday's game wasn't lost in the midfield.
How much we just literally sat there and talked about not creating barely anything this game. He's occupying a spot in the midfield and he's playing more advanced than Douglas Luiz, and Luiz created 3 key passes. Koopmeiners gave 0.
I thought Luiz, I wouldn't change where Luiz was playing at all yesterday. What he was providing from where he was, I wouldn't have changed that. But to your point, like, it hurts me to say, but Fagioli probably should have came in based on that one game. How Koopmeiners was playing, Fagioli probably should have came in.
I just see some things that make me have doubts. You're tossing around the captain's armband. Gatti had wings with that thing earlier on. It's gone to, 4 other players since. Koopmeiners should definitely have not gotten the armband yesterday. Not saying that's the be-all, end-all why we didn't get a result, but it's weird. This whole meritocracy thing. And Koopmeiners' performances, and I'm for him. I still think he's a solid player, and this is another problem I have. Yes. Motta didn't get chosen after the window. He had say and worked hand in hand with Giuntoli. And if you're not delivering with guys we spent good cake on, I'm going to have some doubts creep up because you're still going to the well with this guy. You're still playing him in a spot where he actually performed better further back. And now all of a sudden you're starting to sit guys that might provide a little bit of spark or solution. And what's that going to do to the motivation? If one of these guys goes down in training, which could very well happen, and you have to call upon Fagioli, what is Fagioli's mindset going into a game when we have to get 3 points against Atalanta, Milan, and Napoli?
Oh, he's
not even going to see the pitch.
Oh, he's probably betting for sure. I can guarantee that. But it's a tough spot. I can see where 100%. Doubts are creeping up. Whatever level people are at, it's tough. Guys, I want to be with you. I want to be there. And we can do it. But the thing is, now we're talking about doing something that is a bare minimum objective of top 4. And it's become a dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight between 5 teams. We're one of those 5 teams. That can't be seen as success. It could be perhaps seen as acceptable at the end. You get into top 4. But I'm just saying, and I'm staying true to this, that January is a critical month. And if that race becomes jeopardized, I'm not so sure, because I don't know any options and I don't know anything. I don't want to see a guy fired mid-season. I want to see this guy see it out. I want to see this guy out. I want to see him go into the second season. I want to see this guy go 5 years running, because then it means it's going good. But man, we've got to win. Flat out. Results matter.
Yeah. No, 100%. I don't think anyone's saying otherwise, at least to my knowledge, unless if no one's saying they have no concerns, and that's a whole other issue. Then that might be a little delusional, but I think Ant has his own concerns. So I wouldn't say he's delusional.
Well, I don't, because, I keep falling back to the fact that I live in the real world, and it's just, sometimes things take time.
Yes, I agree.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, Bert. I 100% agree. But there's also the fact that sometimes things don't just get fixed like that. What's the proper amount of time to give a coach and a team? We were talking about this in the green room a little bit, to gel. Is it 19 games? Is it a season? Before Giuntoli got hired, we say we got to give him 3 windows to get his team. People fall back on, we spent 168 million. Well, is that enough? What if you only spent 80? Oof. I'm still stuck in this purgatory, because it's I still think this is a long-term project, but there's a lot of short-term reactionary thinking. I get where Juventus, we got to win now, blah, 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 blah. I get it. And we got to finish top 4 because of finances. We put ourselves in that boat, and that's on us.
That's fair.
I'm still
it's the reality though. You lose that revenue. This time thing that everybody's talking about, the short term directly affects that long term. So if he doesn't deliver at bare minimum top 4, which he still can, which is why I said it's not all over right now. He could still do that. He needs that though, in my opinion, because otherwise you're screwed. And then I don't want to see us losing some key assets, because if you're going to start looking at selling guys and you're not in Champions League, I start to get nervous. I mean, Conceição's dad's now at Milan. Who knows? You've got Yildiz that teams are already hot for. Cambiaso's getting interest from big clubs. I don't want to see that happen, and it is critical. Otherwise, there's no sense in talking project. There's no sense in talking long term if you don't get top 4 done. And that's why it's before, when you're sitting second, third, and your points, like, that's fine. You can accept that. You could deal with that. It's this top four that's getting people nervous, and rightfully so, because you need that revenue. With that revenue loss, and that's a big hit. So what's Giuntoli going to do? Giuntoli flat out came out and said, top four is the aim. What's he going to say now? Wherever we land is the aim. No, it doesn't work like that. He's already nailed that one. It's top four. He's not going to come out tomorrow and say, no, it's, as high as we can finish is the aim. Guys, they laid it out for us. And we knew
and that's fair. That's a fair top four is a fair goal for the first season of this new project or whatever they want to call it. I think Motta's starting to feel the heat. I'm with you. That's why we keep seeing him frustrated on the sideline, some of his press conferences. He's on the hot seat. Don't think he's not. And if there is no improvements, what was that?
So the coaches got at it, and I want to talk about this too, because I feel to some degree that plays into it too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've got a team that on the pitch can seem frantic at times, panicky. It looked like we were panicking a bit yesterday in the first half before calming things down. Even the start of the second was pretty shaky.
We played better after Motta got sent off.
I feel like, I've always said it, teams are a reflection of their coaches, and I feel like if he's unstable right now and he's getting sent off at a critical moment, he knows like the games that are coming up are big. You go and get sucked into a moment like that.
Like, did anyone see what he did?
He was talking to the fourth official. He was saying something to the fourth official. The coach of Torino loses it, comes over, is all over this guy, and then he and Motta get an exchange, and all of a sudden the bench is clear and everything, and it's just, for me, it is what it is. You're absolutely right. He's feeling the heat.
He's showing he's feeling the heat by doing that 100%.
But hang on a second. You can't just I want to know what I'm not buying this feeling the heat bullshit. I want to know what he said. The referee could have panicked there and just said, "You want to know something? I'm not dealing with this. I'm sending them both off." I want to know what was said. Did he say something about the guy's mother, the fourth official's mother, or something like? It
doesn't really matter. They're cracking down on dissent left, right, and center, and that's the second time that game that all the benches got involved because of lobbying that was happening from both sides. At that fourth official on the sideline, finally the ref is like, no, to both of you guys, just beat it. And that's what. And actually, somebody else from the side got a red as well. I don't know if it got beyond, but there were several sent off. But I kind of agree with Lucci. I do think he's feeling the heat.
And like you said, Al, this month is going to be very critical. If you start losing 2-3 games this month, then the hot seat becomes very hot. No doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
what if we draw Napoli and Atalanta?
I mean, look, in that case, look at the teams you're playing. They're all above you in the standings. Yes, you don't want to draw, but that's probably a draw you would take.
My big thing here, why I have doubts, I'm just going to lay this out. I don't believe in any situation, in any circumstances, your gameplay should be worse in January than it is at the beginning of the year. Fair. And I think that highlights issues. It's as easy as that. If you want me to grant time and feel comfortable or have that trust and that faith in you for time moving forward, I would have need to see more. I can't see more issues creep up. Like, if anything, there should be less issues. And that's just the way I'm looking at it. So, again, I don't want them out right now. But if January ends and we're like, 6, 7, 8 out of 4, 10. Like, I'm going to be like, man, is this going spiraling? Are we getting back on track? I think to Ant's point with his whole question is, are we closer to turning it around? Are we closer to the wheels falling off this thing? I think many just have this fear and don't even want to get, and that's why they're pushing the, change now, because they don't want to get to that point, and they actually believe it will get to that point. Do you think it'll get to a point where top 4 is in serious jeopardy? I don't think Skanga does. I think you feel like we'll be in the thick of top 4 and we'll get it done.
Because I know the teams around us are going to shit the bed.
Like we'll play better.
So I don't have great faith that we're just going to go on some winning streak.
Yeah.
But the teams around us aren't going to go on any winning streaks either. Like they're going to start falling off. So there's that. I'd say hope, but it's actually a guarantee that that's going to happen.
I'm with you on that.
We're not catching top 2. I don't want people to get thinking.
I'll tell you right now, if I look at the teams around us, I'm expecting, and to be honest, kind of surprised it hasn't, but I'm expecting Lazio to take a dip. Okay,
they already have. They're already starting. Fiorentina.
It started, but yeah, we need a little bit more than that because there's still one game ahead of us. We have one game advantage. Fiorentina, little bit of a dip there, but they have a game in hand as well. They could surpass us with a win there. Bologna, I'm not really threatened there. They have 2 games in hand. Milan drew yesterday, which obviously helps. They still have 1 game in hand. With Conceição, could potentially create some trouble. But I hate that feeling that we need these guys to drop off and everything like that. And we're talking about it January 12th. So hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. But if we
There's
can't
a lot of games
win,
left.
If we can't win, their drop off might still not take us out of this dogfight.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we're relying on that. I'm saying that's a fact. Like that's gonna happen. These teams aren't gonna go on runs. We still have to take care of business. Like that's
100%.
bottom line. Like we still got to take care of business. We can't worry about what other teams are doing at this point. But like they'll do what they do, which is they're a bunch of clown shows. Their wheels will fall off.
And you know what? Motta needs it, man. He needs it. So there were rumors after yesterday that, and again, I've been saying it for a while. Just what I'm gathering out of Italy is that Elkan's panicking over top 4. So he himself is panicking. There was apparently a meeting with Motta and then Giuntoli, Scanavino, Ferraro, and Elkan after yesterday. The Curva was rumored to, not that we even really care what they think or say, but they're backing a firing according to these people. So take it for what it is. Don't act like this is the Bible, everybody. Okay, it's just I'm just sharing what has come out of yesterday, and we'll go from there. When it comes to this team in general, again, we're talking about player performances and everything. I just the players lack chemistry. One of my things that bothers me that is January 12th, and the guys that have been there for a while. Mbangula's been available for a while. He's now getting minutes that I think he deserved prior. Yildiz, no matter where he plays, like this understanding up at the top, whether Vlahovic is in there, whether he's not. I mean, you have the whole argument coming out of yesterday. Is it better with a guy like that profile, Gonzalez? I actually say yes and no. But what are your thoughts on the difference with a guy like that versus Vlahovic?
I think it's great to have finally a backup for Vlahovic.
He's not even a real backup, though.
Someone else, he's better than Weah. Definitely better than Milik. Like, what the hell is yeah. I think he brings something different than what we see with Vlahovic, which is it's a nice change. And just hopefully his thigh doesn't explode and he doesn't have to take another 4 months off. So, like, I think it's good to have him up there. And it's good to have somebody pushing Vlahovic, right?
Yeah.
Vlahovic was second in minutes up until last week. Like the guy needs a break. The guy needs someone to push him. We need somebody else up there to offer.
Is the play suffering? Is the difference something like that more consistently, more technical up top? Because we've been eyeing up targets, and the argument for Motta is that he needs that technical presence up top. Because people believe that it all crumbles with Vlahovic.
We haven't looked any different when anybody else plays up there. Other than Dusan.
I don't think it crumbles.
When Dusan's out, we play the exact same way.
Yes, I agree.
So
I think it crumbles with the defense, personally.
I think there's a big difference in terms of hold-up with a guy that's more technical. I think you saw a couple times there that Gonzalez isn't just going up for a ball as a target. He's actually like, he flicked a couple onto Yildiz. He's looking at Mbangula there. He chested one down to the guy in front of him and then makes a run off. I think it's just easier. I think guys that suffer with touch overthink just trapping the ball before what that next step is. So there's a little bit of a difference there. In terms of the good and bad, I think that's the good. I think when it comes to the bad, we still act as if you have a big target guy up top there, and then we started crossing into Gonzalez, which is not the fucking game to play with a guy like that. It's not coming together, and there's a disconnect for me personally looking at this team and looking at our strategies. I put a lot of that on Motta myself personally. I think there's a lot of cleanup. But like I said, just got to prove it to me. You got to start winning games. And now you've got 3 tough games. What do you realistically see happening out of these games? What's your prediction for Atalanta on Tuesday, then Milan and Napoli? Like, how do you think Juve comes out of that stretch? It's hard to remain super optimistic.
Well, we go at Atalanta.
They're all away.
Home to Milan.
Or we're home Milan?
Bruges. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was away.
At Club Bruges and then at Napoli.
Oof. I'll say, unless you're ready, Anth, go ahead.
No, I'm still looking at it. Go ahead.
Okay. I will say 2 draws and a loss is my prediction. I'm not including Champions League. I think we'll win that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we had 7 games in January. I went with 3, 3, and 1. Well, we already got a loss. That Supercopa thing, and then
whatever.
We have a draw. I think we go. Are you talking about just Serie A, Alberto?
Just the Serie A matches, yeah.
I think it's a draw. We get a win in there and 2 draws.
So
more
5
optimistic
points
than myself.
Okay. And Mitch is saying he actually predicts 7 out of 9, but our problems will remain. And then we get our first loss from Juve Pulse. Do we need that first loss in Serie A?
No, we've had enough.
We do not need it.
It's gotten to the point where I'm hearing that they need to get that loss in order to turn it around. That's like rock bottom. That's hitting rock bottom because we've had moments after moments of matches to build upon and get momentum going, but we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right
mentality.
That's what
mentality is a key issue for me personally.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
The approach, the mentality, everything. It seems like they can't have their play back the scenarios, back the situations. Like when the urgency needs to be there and it's time to smell the blood, they don't have it.
They look lost. And I know you spoke about this a couple weeks ago, but are they not one of the youngest? Not that this is an excuse or anything, but are they not one of the youngest teams in Serie A this year or something like that?
Yeah, they have an average of 24 years old.
So I think they're the second youngest.
Okay, and I think, unfortunately, they need to go through these roller coaster ups and downs until they can finally figure out.
There is no time. We are Juventus, and we got to fucking win right now.
You have to hit top 4. Age doesn't fucking matter. It's quality.
I'm not saying otherwise, Al. I fully agree with you. I'm just saying.
Period.
We could be an average age of 12, and we better finish top 4.
Guys, top 4.
I know you know what I'm saying.
What are we talking about?
I know you see what I'm saying.
We're saying like you need time beyond not reaching top 4. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're not.
No, I'm more directed at Skanga because if you're saying that they need time beyond not reaching top 4, that's crazy.
So it's I'm saying we backed ourselves into a corner because you can't have a rebuild and have lofty expectations. Which we are are we in a rebuild? Some people argue that we are or we're not. But unfortunately, we backed ourselves in a corner.
Financially,
have to finish in top 4. I agree. We have to finish in top 4. But normally,
that
when you have a
objective
young
is not
team,
crazy whether your team is
No,
24
nobody's
years
saying
old
it's
or
crazy.
not.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying that. Settle down, boys.
No, this
I'm
age
just
thing.
saying.
Parma's 23 years old. Should we be in line with them at the bottom of the table?
No.
Can I finish? What I'm normally saying is that when a team has a rebuild, you expect these things, and
These
normally growing pains, and you roll with it. Unfortunately, we backed ourselves into a corner to have to finish top four because of the finances. So you want to make the excuse. Like, I think Lucci and I are kind of saying,
Yeah. It's not an excuse, but I think this is why we're seeing them not excel in certain areas, because they haven't been there before. There's no true leader. And that's not an excuse. They still need to make top four. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think that's why we're seeing this.
yes, but
I think
it's not an
this team
excuse.
is more capable than what we're seeing. And I think it's fair to ask for more than Motta. I put a lot of it on Motta, more so than the age of this team, more so than the quality. If we're saying, again, this is more than enough. If you've brought in guys that are on back-to-back, like 3 seasons consecutively, one of the top midfielders in Serie A, if you're bringing in a guy like Luis, who was one of the best for 2 years running in the Prem, had great numbers, stats to him, if you can't get these guys rolling, and it's hard to throw Luis in there because he hasn't been physically fit, so I'll kind of exclude him there, but guys, at the end of the day, Motta was there working hand in hand with Giuntoli. Age, all this. I didn't tell Giuntoli to just build a 24-year-old team. I sure as fuck didn't tell them to kick Danilo out when you have no other fullbacks in the team. So this arrogance and this ego about how they're going about business, I didn't tell them that we should not recall any of the loans. I didn't tell them that you shouldn't jump on a free agent in November and maybe help support your players that have an average age of 24 years old, get to that January window before looking at it. I didn't tell them to do any of this shit. Build or not, like, you need that revenue for no matter what your goals are moving into next season. And I think that, like, I think what's really fucked people up is the fact that they made a mistake with the last guy getting 3 years, and now everybody thinks that it's harsh or it's unfair to give Motta anything less, when in actuality, it should have been in line. Because you had coaches even above the last guy, and I fucking don't want to make comparisons, but they didn't even have that luxury of being in there for the window and actually having guys that they could sit there and hand pick that Juve spends 168 million for. Like, they didn't have that luxury. So now all of a sudden to throw that all out the window and just be like, you know, I'm getting wound up, boys, because we're chasing our tails for 5 years now.
Yes.
We're chasing our fucking tails.
Yes, we are.
But at some point, you hit the reset button. I think this year is a bit of that reset button. Yes, we've been chasing our tails, but
come on,
hit the reset button.
Enough excuses, man. Jesus.
Yeah, so this reset button, okay, so this build, so everything. So Milan, who isn't far off of us, has had their coach on the hot seat for 2 months. They spent half in the summer window. They said goodbye and hello to several players. Some of the guys that left were actually key for them. And they've had injuries too. So at some point, and they said goodbye. And they went and they brought in Conceição because it's just not acceptable for them. But there is no build. There is no project. There's no hearing of that going on there. So what's this separation on? At the end of the day, when you're a club of that stature, it comes down to the same thing. Any way you want to slice it. We can hide behind build. We can hide behind project. You can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. Results matter.
Yes.
It's maybe we don't like that anymore.
It's a result-based position, no doubt.
Maybe people, because everybody's throwing Arteta at me, asking for time, maybe we just want to play good, and who gives a fuck where we land? I'm not down with that.
I don't know where. Okay, you're getting a little wound up. The chat's getting really wound up here, Lucci. I don't think people. We agree. What
are we chasing? If you're bringing up stats about possession, big chances created, which by the way are down to a team that didn't even play with the fucking ball last year. Possessions higher, chances created are down big time to a team that didn't play with the ball last year. Our best game played this season was against Man City. It was by far the best performance as a team, as a unit, and it was completely different from what Motta even wants us to do. If that isn't a sign or an indication that maybe Motta isn't pulling the right strings and why he can't get this team to play the way he wants to, and again, only talking about beating fucking shit teams like Venezia, Torino, etc., the list goes on, that's a problem. It's a problem. But build, project, and whatever, it doesn't change that. That you have a guy that seemingly on the pitch cannot put what he has together, and that's the coach's job. It's the coach's job with all the guys that came before him that didn't have this luxury of time when we had the ability to offer that to them. So do you think that the situation in the moment has handcuffed us into having to give this guy time? I don't get it.
No, I'm just saying. What's your definition of rebuild? I'm saying, unfortunately, we backed ourselves into a corner with the finances. But realistically, are you okay with a one and done if we finish top 4, but we look awful doing it? Are you like?
I'm saying top 4 is a must. If he gets into top 4, then the discussion is there. If there's a lot of things that factor into this.
What if he doesn't get in the top 4? Is he out?
For me, yeah, absolutely.
Is Juntali out if he doesn't get top 4?
Juntali's facing some heat for a lot of different other reasons, like this environment. Do you guys think this is a healthy seeming environment from the outside looking in? The player treatment kind of starting to wait. In the summer, I got it because you're pushing for all this change. I have no problems with Juntali, anything he's done in the summer. As I just stated a couple minutes ago, November, with this whole no free agency thing, you've pushed guys to the side. You're now doing this thing with Danilo, but you have no coverage, and we're chasing expensive targets.
Well, I get what you're saying, Al, about Danilo, but we also don't know what's going on behind closed doors. It doesn't seem like him and Motta get along very well, so maybe that's why it needs to be dealt with. Who knows, man? It's not like he's been.
And Motta doesn't get along with. And Motta doesn't get along with Fagioli either. He didn't want McKennie. Now all of a sudden McKennie's back in. We got his.
I don't know if I believe that one. McKennie was probably all a contract.
Okay, so we choose now what to believe and what not to believe. The point is that I don't think it's a healthy environment. Like there's some warning signs there. There's some warning signs there. I don't know, man. I have doubts in this guy. It's not, and that's natural because guess what? It's like. We follow Juve. We should be used to this.
Of course we have doubts and concerns. There's no doubt about that.
You got to win. That's just what it comes. And I mean, only getting consecutive wins in league against Como and Verona at the start of the season, whether we're undefeated or not, step it up. He's got to wait. He's got to step it up. That's what's going to speak at the end of the day. My point with Milan is that, and to Ant that was saying I was getting fired up, getting wound up, is because a lot of people are making comparisons to the coach in order to give him time, but they're using examples from the Premier League, which has way more revenue. So it's not apples to apples. The reason I pull Milan into the discussion is because that's a lot closer to home. Way closer to home.
Okay. But Milan upgraded coaching-wise by making that move.
And they did it mid-season.
Right, fair enough. Yes, and
they're not far off our results. That's my point. Right. Now I'm not saying get rid of him now, and I'm not saying get rid of Motta now. I'm just saying I don't have a fear of needing to do so if the situation calls for it. Right now, the situation doesn't call for it, but he is dangerously close.
Yeah. Okay.
So are we closer to turning it around? Or? I don't got an answer to that question.
For me, yeah. And it starts Tuesday against Atalanta.
I don't believe your answer, but
I see a draw on that one.
Lucci, do you got a split? You're still good? Or?
I got ahead.
Okay. We're going to tackle Storm the Barn. Just Gang and I, we have a little bit more time left. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, it was as hot as we anticipated this show to go. But you guys, Hey, Lucci, have fun in the Inferno, sipping your coffee. Everything's fine. I love it. I love it.
Well, actually, you know what? I gotta give a shout out to my nana. Today's her birthday, so that's why I need to.
Hey, there we go. There we go. And what took you
try
so
not to
long
piss
for the
off
shout
anyone
out?
else,
Birthday
right?
shout out. Come on, at the closing? Oh my God, Luch.
You're right. I should have brought that up before.
That's news when we brought up the headlines. Should have been there. But no, happy birthday to your Nona. Enjoy yourself, man. Take care.
Ciao,
Always
gentlemen.
a pleasure. Now it's just the old folks.
Okay, God damn it. Okay, I got to storm the barn while people get their storm the barns in. We got maybe like 15 minutes. I got to storm the barn to get things rolling. If you want to hear it.
Okay, get it rolling. And we got more than that because I can roll solo for a bit. So we got Skanga for 15.
Our captain is Locatelli. I don't think anyone really objects to Locatelli being the captain. Right? I think there's might be a little bit, but whatever. Is it time for the vice captain to be Yildiz? Does Yildiz deserve to be the captain when Luca can't go or when Luca gets subbed off?
If the team votes on it. I've said from the beginning of this year, if you're going to do this build, if you're going to do this thing, this whatever the hell this thing is anyways, have the players vote on their captains. If you're going to, I think that's a better way to do it than slapping it on absolutely everybody, and a newcomer like Koopmeiners that hasn't necessarily done it through what is happening on the pitch. I would have just had it as a vote. Is it too early for Yildiz? Yeah, but if the team feels it, then I'm cool with it.
I saw
that's just my answer.
McKennie.
I think
McKennie's a good one. He does it by example.
Locatelli is out and out by far, though, this team's captain.
Yes.
If anybody gives a sniff of it, it's him. And to be honest,
Gatti.
And I feel for the guy because I don't think Gatti. I don't understand how he could have lost it. And he was playing by far his best when he had it. So we'll see. Everybody get the likes up. We're getting into Storm the Barn, but I want your answer. Should Yildiz get it? Vice.
I don't really. I know we say okay that we had the whole discussion with the. You even said it. Age doesn't matter. So why are people now saying age matters when your captain's 19 years old? Does age matter? Yes or no? For me, I'd give it to him. I think he deserves it. I think he's that important to this team. And I don't really think it's like that much of a burden. Like I think
the reason they associate age is because age is usually associated with experience, right? And most people, when you think of a captain in your mind, it is someone that has, that's a winner, that's won something, that's got experience. Usually to win something, you got experience, etc., right? So it's how everybody envisions a captain. If you're going based on performance, he fits the bill. If you're going down the line of the other things that you might consider a captain, he doesn't. So I get it,
I like the team voting on it.
Yeah. I just think if you were a new coach coming in and you were going to do what he's done with it, I would just put it up to, hey, give me rank your captains. I want a list of 5. And that's your 5 for the season. That way, if guys are out, whatever, you've got your list and you know who this team sees as its captains and leaders for whatever reasons they decide. I don't know. This whole thing, we're starting to fall into a Allegri Rabiot-esque situation with Motta and Koopmeiners. So that's where we're falling. By the way, for anybody, and if you guys haven't noticed, and if there's people that are new here that are wondering why there's no comparisons really made on this show, it's because I can't stress enough. My tweet was essentially, you've got a battle out there right now that is arguing what's the bigger pile of shit. Because we've been chasing our tails for years. It wasn't good before, needed to change. And you know what? It's not good right now. But arguing on what's the bigger piece of shit, it just doesn't matter. And it doesn't help us for right now where we're at. So the comparisons matter not. What matters right now is results. And it always matters at Juve. Whether you're year 0, year 3, year 5, results matter. Financially, they matter big time. Big time. Storm the Barn. Dusan and Conceição be available against Atalanta. They're day-to-day. I personally have zero faith in J Medical, so my guess is as good as yours if they'll be available. But I would lean towards yes, because they were so close to getting into the weekend against Torino. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, yeah, they'll be available.
Dusan, but in the news this morning, Dusan was trending towards yes, being available probably from the bench against Atalanta, and Conceição is a no for midweek.
Already a no?
Looks like he's already a no. He'll be ready for the Milan match.
Of 2026, everybody, because it's J Medical. RB Comps, does this Juventus remind you of 2017-18 Juventus, but with far less quality in the sense of we score one and then we sit deep and allow pressure? So if we go back to that 17-18 season, bringing the Scudetto in was a grind towards the second half of the season. And that's when things really ramped up on old Max there, because we started to lose that feeling that we were going to be able to get the job done. I remember the Lazio match where Dybala pulled that crazy goal out from the Rugani pass forward and he skinned his defender. It was, who the hell was it? Barolo that was on his back, and he drug him for 5 yards and then buried top corner. There was a lot of grind games like that where you're just edging it out, and people started to get on the edge about Max. He's losing it. This team should be winning better and everything. So in that sense of the expectations we hold, I think it's rather similar. In terms of the quality, far less quality than the 17-18 side.
Is that the season where Napoli went 1 point up on us and they were celebrating in their hotel?
17, did they do that 17-18 or was that 16-17? It might have been 17-18. I think you're right.
When they went up, they were celebrating. We're like, well, we have a game in hand. Like, what are you guys doing? I think that was that season.
Yeah.
I think
remember. To say the quality is drastically different, but you also, you had that faith, you had that belief, you had that trust because it was developed. I mean, you had a solid back line. You know, you had leaders all over the pitch. You had character guys. You had everybody that knew their role. And that's another thing. Do the players on our team, are they not understanding their roles? Are they, like, I couldn't tell you, but I stand firm on everything I said to you guys earlier, that I don't think there should be this many issues with the team on January 12th. We were if you would have asked me the question at the start of the year, well, we were there. We were like, hey, if we figure out some chemistry up top to beat the low block, like, we're good. We're cooking. Well, now it's like, fuck, that ain't the only thing.
We still haven't figured that out.
You got to keep the ball out of the back of the net. First off, you got to stop the mental breakdowns, and we could stop parking it at 1. But yeah, we're a far cry from the 17-18 team, I'm afraid, everybody. Koopmeiners is devolving, it seems. He held his own in the beginning, but keeping him in the wrong position is affecting him, looks like it. What are your thoughts on Koopmeiners now that we've seen more of them?
This is the exact same situation we had when we brought Locatelli in. Locatelli did not have a good first year. There was like flashes of like, is this the same guy that we had at Sassuolo? I think with Koopmeiners, it's going to take time. Maybe it might take a new manager, but we cannot write this guy off. Like, I think it's silly to write this guy off. He has not been the player that we expect him to be. I agree, but he is a long-term staple on this team. He'll figure it out. Somebody will unlock it, whether it's Motta or somebody else. We cannot write him off. He has to. I agree, but
I gotta say, like, I don't think we should be writing anybody off. And this is kind of one of the issues I have, is that we wrote off Danilo, rightfully so, as a center back with a high back line. That's just okay. But as a fullback, there's no situation. To Lucci's point about not knowing what happens in the back, I don't care. There is no situation that he could have said whatever the hell he wanted about me, my family, etc. I'm not letting you walk to Napoli mid-season and we have no coverage. It just ain't happening. When it comes to like the midfield and Koopmeiners, I'm with you. There's no reason to write this guy off whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be reason to, like, you know, not hold certain guys on a pedestal and be like, you know what? I need to push this guy. And I do need to get the next man up. And I need to be like, dude, I really need more. So I'm actually going to go away from you today. Motta seemingly, like I said, we could be going through this Rabiot Allegri thing with Motta and Cope where that's his favorite guy and whatnot. But I do want to bring this up and talk about it because it came up yesterday and I don't, it's been a problem I've had the entire time with Koopmeiners, is that this is not a heat map of a 10. That's not the heat map of a guy that's playing the 10 position, everybody. It isn't. So when I look at this, it's just it's not our 10. It's not a 10. It's scattered. It's still far too much on the flanks. There's not enough in the dead center. And he's doing it off a flank still. Hybrid 10s. I can't stress this enough. It was shit with Pirlo. It's shit now with Motta. If you want a 10, you play a traditional playmaker in that role. If you want midfielders, 3 midfielders, flatten it out and go 4-1-4-1. And I said we should have done that yesterday with the players that we had. I would have clamped down with Thuram and have Luiz and Koopmeiners both ahead, pushing to support the offense. Or if you want to use Thuram, keep Thuram there because Luiz was good sitting deep too. And he was making good passes, good plays, good advances. But the other thing, I don't know if you guys caught it, how many times Yildiz called for the ball and Savona did not deliver yesterday. Savona actually had a bad game in my opinion.
I see that in here. I didn't think he was.
Savona was shaky for me, especially on the ball. His decision making was brutal. It was slow. His touch was god awful. So 9 times out of 10, the play died just for him trying to settle the ball because we had no chance of progressing it quickly enough. And Yildiz, and this is another thing why I put a lot on Motta. When you're in a game and the guys that are on the ball, while we go hard on them for creating, and Koopmeiners can be included as well in this discussion, but Luiz, a ton yesterday, and he still came out with 3 key passes. When our guys are on the ball and they're doing this and that and trying to direct while they're on the fucking ball, that is a problem and it is a malfunction. Offensively, we don't move off the ball and we are so fucking predictable. And our players now are getting sick and tired of it. And Yildiz was pissed off yesterday. And he kept saying, and I don't know why you wouldn't. You've got him running down the wing. And he's making an angled turn up the corner. It's a ball up the line. And Yildiz is screaming for it. Arm up. He's doing everything he can to get Savona to send the ball. And he turns back, gives it to Gatti, and gives him a wave. You know what you could do with that wave? This. And if you're a fucking coach, that would infuriate me because that's the exact guy that was miles clear of anybody else on the pitch. And if you want him in those positions, you got to give him the damn ball. I'd be losing it. And the fact that this isn't just yesterday, it's January 12th, and that's been one of these bad trends for months. Been talking about brutal off the ball movement. So it's not that we're not winning, screw the coach. It's all these like things for me personally. I'm not speaking for everybody. For me personally, that add up, that make me need way more from the coach. Because if they're not doing something that, or maybe he's fine with it. Maybe he is happy with this. I don't know. I fail to believe that.
That's the coach giving the confidence to their young players to say, make that pass.
Yeah, like I need you to get him that ball in that position, you know? And Duchamp. We've seen him make good runs. It's like, at what point I'd be losing it as a player. If I'm an offensive player with this team right now, the amount of times Koopmeiners has put the handbrake on, I'd be like, send me the damn ball. The game is simple. Create space, attack it. When you have your guys in 1v1 scenarios, give them the ball there. Not slow in build-up when they're surrounded by 3 players and now Yildiz has to dribble 3 guys just to get a fucking shot. Let's go. Let's go. For the 2 of us now. Putting Pep, Ancelotti, Liverpool's coach, and Conte. If you can pick a manager for next out of those guys, everybody's gonna. Okay, like honestly, this is not realistic whatsoever or anything. But if I could handpick one of these guys, well, 2 of those guys were with Juve. Pep, we will never have enough money for Pep, so it's just a flat out no, because we won't get the benefit of it. I've always said no more returns, so that would rule out Ancelotti and Conte too. So I guess I'm gonna have to go with Skanga here, and my pick is you, Tony. All right.
Oh,
I would go Ancelotti though, but not now because it doesn't make sense. The only guy that can build properly out of there without insane finances like Pep, and Ancelotti's not a builder, Conte. If I had to pick out of the street, because he's the only actual builder. Tony?
I was leaning towards Ancelotti in that group.
Okay.
I'm sticking with Ancelotti in that group. Yep.
Is Tudor available? Tudor is available. I don't think he would be the guy right now. And I don't think we need to make a change at this moment. All right. We're close. Koopmeiners went from one of the best mids in the league to becoming a burden. That makes me feel like the one to blame is Motta and his lack of creating pinta and not understanding how to use players. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Maybe.
There's got to be something to, again, if you're involved in bringing in these guys and then you're not delivering with them, do you not know what you need? Do you not know what you need? Is like, I don't know. I'm spitballing here because it's
not like Koopmeiners has a toolbox that you can't work with.
Yeah, and this team in general, I think, like we've said it when we were going over the roster stuff, there's a lot of options there for Motta. I even think like Yildiz could play he could play anywhere across the top. He could even play like Nico Gonzalez did yesterday and offer something different. It's strange to me to not be asking for more from Motta.
I don't think Koopmeiners is a flop. Like the flop that's on the player. Like I don't think, because we've seen what he can do in the league.
I think there's a combination of things, man. It's both of them. Like they both have to sort it out. Koopmeiners, he's got moments where he is on the friggin' handbrake for sure, no doubt. Okay. And I think the move is also weighing on him because I think he's putting a lot on himself because we spent that much on him and he wants to deliver and he's feeling that too. And I don't think Motta's making it any easier for him by continuously putting in a situation that hasn't worked to his benefit. So pull him back into a situation where it's easier for him, because I think when he is deeper and he could see more of the pitch ahead of him, it's better. But as a 10, and he, again, go to the heat map, he's not even playing as a 10. So he's still, I'll never forget that interview where they asked him about his role, about his performance, and he just rattled off every single responsibility, to that of a fullback, to a center back, to a mid, to an attacker. And I'm like, this guy is scattered. He literally is trying to do it all, and it needs to be simplified. That's on Motta. If Conte wants to do a switcheroo in the summer, would you, if things don't improve and stay as they are? I really don't want returns. And right now, like, Conte is just automatically, when you talk about the word that everyone's talking about, build, he's the first name that is associated, right? Is Conte the only guy that can build? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think there's this infatuation with, like, you have to get like a known manager. Like, is there no? And this is just a general question. Like, all these managers came from somewhere. Like, is there no unknowns out there? Like, searching for players is a talent. I think Junti has to search for players. It's also a talent. Sometimes you have to find that manager, like the diamond in the rough. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe Motta's not the guy, but I agree with you. Sometimes, like, maybe it's time for Juventus to find that next manager.
I think also a part of it that associates Conte is the history with us as a player. And like, I think people are honestly feeling, and I get it because I've spoken a lot about it, environment, the culture, etc. And I just think that he's automatically associated with those two things, building and then the culture, right? And if somebody felt that way, I would have zero disagreements that our culture at Juve is off right now. It's non-existent. And I talked about it that if any changes are made, when I actually started a rant about the problems we're seeing right now 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I don't know, there's so many shows. We got another one Tuesday, by the way. But I said when I started, it can't end with a coach. It's the time now to get the right guy spearheading this thing above Giuntoli, above Motta, and Scanavino and Ferraro are nothing but temps, and it's time to act there.
Well, we knew they were temps sort of when they were brought in. Like, we said that 2 years ago. So, anyways,
yeah,
I gotta get rolling.
We said these guys are temps.
I'm gonna get rolling here. You're gonna keep it going?
I'm gonna keep her going, but thanks as always, man.
I should be here for pre and post game this week.
Nice.
I should be here.
We'll see you there, brother. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and go Pack, go.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Remember, be happy and set the tone.
Don't tell me what to do, but set the tone. All right, so it's just me, folks. Let's get into this here. We're going to take away that and keep her rolling here. So what's the next one after Pierre's of Conte's return? How many wins, losses, and draws do you realistically see in the remaining 5 matches in January? Honestly, it's tough to get into this right now. I'm so beat up on this team's performances with these draws, etc. I'm just gonna speak to like Champions League. You got to win against Club Brugge. Benfica has always been a nemesis for us. So let's go with win and a draw in those Champions League group stages. If you're gonna talk about the Serie A matches, maybe a win, a loss, and a draw. Maybe a win, a loss, and a draw. I could easily see that going down. And I could see it easily mixing up with each of those opponents as to who you want to pick for that one win and who you want to pick for that loss. But I would not be surprised if you see something like 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. With our current play, this one coming in from Mitch here, and bad situation, what makes you think Colo and Araujo and others should choose us for other clubs that are interested? I have my doubts. If just in general on the chase, when it comes to Araujo, I mean, we've heard every number imaginable from 30 total to 50, 60 to some even higher. Nobody knows, but the devil's in the details. Araujo is a quality defender when fit. His injury record is a disaster. Are we stretching ourselves? Are we going to get into a committed situation with Araujo? That might not be the best, and that might be repeating past mistakes and errors. When it comes to Kolo Muani, talented player, again, devil's in the details. How much do we extend ourselves, and how much confidence do we have in the guy that's trying to put it all together with the players already? We've spent a lot, and that's why the results matter. That's why getting wins matters. you have to deliver. We're not the team that's going to go out and spend $250 million every friggin' mercado. That's just not happening. So we've got to figure it out. In terms of them choosing us, as the struggles continue, I mean, yeah, you're running on the prestige of the club. Champions League is a must for next season, for not just guys coming from the outside in, but for the current crop. Prestige, maybe you got to get back to your roots and get more Italians involved, because they do actually hold the Italian clubs more dear to them, right? But the talent pool isn't there too. There is a lot of variables and factors there. But as far as them choosing us over other clubs, I think money talks a lot in today's game, and that'll have a play too. You could see ambitions, and then you could see money signings from a mile away. And we've even seen some of that happen this past summer, right? So, yeah, it's right now at Juve, everybody that comes in needs to be carefully chosen and need to understand the task at hand, and they need to be prepared to face it head on. And we need character guys. And we need character guys that are ready now. So if you want to throw Silva into the mix, intriguing signing. The devil is in the details. What are we signing for? And is that still enough? Is any of this enough? I stand firm. I have no idea why we wouldn't jump on one of the experienced free agents that was available just to help get you by until January. I don't understand a team that's struggling for cash having to always look to buy. Why are we above it? Why are we too good for it in that moment? And you see this team just friggin' struggle, not even getting the results through a month and a half in November and December, rather than just pulling a guy in to just help ease the workload. I don't get it. Alex P, we need 6 points from the rest of the January games to at least keep where we are. Where do we get the 6 points from? I mean, we can win every game. To Skanga's point, even while I don't agree big picture that there isn't problems, we're not far off in the game. So what he's saying, I mean, they're all tight. We're in there. You could win and get those 6 points. You know, you could easily beat Napoli. You could easily beat Milan. Atalanta, we could beat them as well. You could beat any of these teams. The issue is what Juve shows up. How does the game go? Do we fall behind? Are we then questioning how are we going to create a goal? Do we get ahead and then sit back, let them back in it, and not be able to get back into the proper intensity that we need to win? I don't know. But they are winnable games. And I 100% agree with you, Alex P. Right now, the tools are there. The tools are there. Absolutely. JT and 70, they should play against Atalanta in a similar way they played Man City. Try and hit them on the counter, because Atalanta are suspect defensively. Just my 2 cents. The thing with that game is that Atalanta doesn't change who they are for anybody really, other than some big matchups that they've had where they have shut down and clamped down and then been devastating on counterattacks. They won't change for us from what their main go-to is. And this whole thing with the City game highlighted what I was bringing up to Lucci and Skanga, is that our best game to this point was playing out of Motta's actual setup and style. So he's not putting it together with his main type of game and philosophy, play, whatever the hell you want to call it, but his main game plan hasn't delivered, and that's an issue. Against Atalanta, we could very much be in that situation where we choose to clamp down and then play a game like that and attack forward. But again, momentum is a crazy thing, and right now the mentality going into these games is probably going to be a little bit timid. And honestly, that, again, it all adds up with Motta. Teams are reflections of their coaches. The attitude and the demeanor on the pitch isn't suiting anything this guy spoke of at the beginning of the season. In terms of attitude, the approach to the games, it's taken a big change, and you could hear it in his words in press conferences. And I don't think this team is stable. I don't think they're stable anywhere close to it when it comes to a mentality perspective. And I think that's why you see these crazy drops and the mental errors over and over and over. These guys aren't locked in. They're far from it. And the guys that he's had to call upon, well, they're not getting rotation. And is he seemingly hating like all these guys? What happened to the guy that did it, and got results and was actually more flexible with a roster of salary of 31 million euros? The theory is that with more quality, which we do possess versus Bologna's team last year, you'd get more results. And it's just, this inability to get over the hump with these garbage sides is killing me. It is killing me. What is the Giuntoli Motta project? I really need to know what this project is. I went off yesterday on the pregame show in terms of that word, project, and I want to put it in a box, and I want to just take a big sledgehammer and destroy this box. Project, build, it doesn't really matter. You have the situation in front of you, but you are still Juventus, and you still have the resources and means to do better. And we've spent a lot in resources, okay? I hate hearing about project. I hate hearing about build. Again, look no further than Milan. And we doubled them and then some on spending in the summer. They're not far off of us at 28 points, and they had a coach that was under fire for 2 months. Why? Because they have Zlatan in there. While their ownership is speaking one way and going down one tone, they have Zlatan in there that understands there are standards, and what's going on isn't acceptable. Project, build, or anything, everything still has to hold to some type of standard. Top 4 is a bare minimum. It is not an achievement whatsoever. Said that with the guys prior, and I'm going to keep it level now. It is not an achievement. Project, build, etc., it was all the same. Get the money right. Fix everything financially, and then slowly get up to where you can bring in the quality guys that Juve should be signing, okay? But you did a big overhaul in the summer and spent that money, chemistry, etc. Well, we're January 12th, and the chemistry is actually arguably worse than it was at the beginning of the season. And maybe that would have been brought in because of all this environment and everything too, that now more issues are opening up. Because does a player even know if they're going to wake up tomorrow morning and all of a sudden be out of the project? What the hell are we doing? And you have no recruits, the cavalry, like what the fuck is going on? It's a shit show. It is a shit show. I appreciate everybody that has the calmness, the reserve to just be like, oh no, it's okay, whatever. Because realistically, you could still hit top 4, but that is not an achievement. It is not an achievement. And you have a manager right now that has worked hand in hand with Giuntoli. So Giuntoli's hands aren't clean either, because what they put together is to the likes of Del Neri. And that is crazy. Crazy, okay? So project, built, whatever, none of it matters. Results matter, period. And progress matters. You have to be improving. We have not improved from the beginning of the season to January. Struggles? Yeah, sure. No Bremer, whatever. We're not talking about winning the title. The Scudetto was dead long ago this season. Long ago. Sad, but true. We're talking about beating these tiny clubs that we got to get the wins over. That's all we're asking for. And if you can't deliver that, and you're unwilling to change anything that might help it, and we see rinse and repeat the same thing over and over and over, yeah, you're going to take heat. And I have little sympathy for them involved. It's not good enough. Figure it out. Simple as that. And again, anybody that wants to talk, use that word, project or build, etc. Hey, you want time, you want patience. I said it's got to be earned. Without the finances, it's dead in the water before it even gets running. Revenue. Get the damn wins. And you're right, Aldo. To be fair, we aren't a million miles away from the right results. We're not far away from it. But it doesn't matter if you're an inch or a mile. At the end of the day, you got to get them. And that's what we're saying. If top 4 becomes compromised, you're in big trouble. We are in big trouble. December was the month to put together wins and rack up the points, and you failed time and time again over that month. And now you're in crunch time. So it's like, you got to do it. At some point, you just get the job done. You're not far from it, but Jesus, you might as well be. Because at the end of the day, it has to happen. And if it's not, whether you're close or you're far, you got to have, and that plays perfectly to what Skanga was saying earlier, that we're close in these games. You know, we're close in all these games, so he feels we're closer to turning it around. But whether it's an inch or a mile, hey, you just got to get it done. You just got to get it done. Dells, been hearing a lot about it was a mistake to sack Max. Can we agree that Max sacking was fully warranted while also holding Motta to account and questioning if he should have got the job? I said that this is, I'm done with the comparisons. 2 wrongs don't make a right. That was bad, needed to change. This right now so far is bad as well. But I went back, I'll go back to the summer, and I may be wrong. I have no problem saying it because I'm not going to feed you guys lies. I see the guys that are trying to do that are trying to tell you right now everything is cool, everything's calm, take it easy, there's no issues. There is issues. Motta is in a bit of a situation, and I think he's showing it. So if you think that he's not in some type of hot seat, I actually do believe he is. And I do believe a lot of what I'm hearing about Elkan and maybe looking to shift and do some, but the finances are critical. They've told us. They've told us last year, told us the year before. We knew it. They were $342 million in debt. We heard it this season from Juntali. They're banking on a certain qualification, round of 16 in Champions League financially. That is sketchy. And I called that out earlier in the season. And they're banking on top 4. And Motta can't go back on that. He can't go back on that. And now all of his, Juntali, can't go back on it. He can't come out all of a sudden and say, no, it's wherever we land. No, top 4 is the aim. Motta is in heat because now it's a 5-team battle. 1, 2, and 3 place in the table. Right now, no signs of catching it unless we go on a run. But 2 wrongs don't make a right. I'm not making comparisons. I don't want to do that. I'm looking at the now. I'm looking at where we're at right now. It needs to be better. Got to get results. What do you need to see from Juve and Motta before you can say that we are really going nowhere? I've been clear about this this entire time. If top 4 is out, see you later. See you later. So if it becomes in serious jeopardy where we need to legit fire things up to have a hope of getting top 4 this season, see you later. See you later. Because it's already dead at that point. Okay? Christian, would you guys be in favor of Motta grinding out wins by playing counterattack as opposed to keeping this current style? I've always said, Christian, chat, you guys know, I don't give a shit how you play. And to be honest, it comes down to what's best for the team. And what is best for the team is what brings results. But in all actuality, I've always said this, you have to be able to go through all the gears, period. You have to be able to play a game like we did against Man City. You have to also be able to tackle these low sides that are going to clamp things down and get over the hump and get those victories. You have to be able to go through all the gears if you're going to be a good team. That's just the reality of it. With multiple competitions, obviously in Champions League, you're going to face teams that you're not going to be able to dominate your opponent. Like, you're not going to play certain teams and dominate the ball. It just won't happen. So you have to be able to go through all the gears. But the results at the end of the day always will count. Every single time. Every single time. So for me, chasing some type of style of football, it doesn't matter. If Motta achieves playing well and the results are the same and we were playing well, that's still not enough. It's still not enough. You got to get the job done. You are a coach. You're at a high-level club that has prestige, biggest club in Italy. You have to get the results. So even if you started playing well but the results don't come, it doesn't matter how well you play. It doesn't matter. What do we want to do? Like I said, Arteta. People throw around Arteta. I heard somebody go as far to say Arteta's one of the best coaches right now. I'm like, for what? Is that what it's all about now with guys these days? Playing good football? So you want to play good football and win sweet fuck all? I will not sign that contract. No, thank you. And never will I. Never will I. Bianconero UK. Were we wrong to let Rugani go last summer? We could do with him as cover now, and instead we are scrambling to find defenders in January, probably at inflated costs and salaries. This is the thing that's pissing me off a ton right now with Juve and Motta. We knew that the numbers were light. Light, I said, at striker and light at center back. You let this guy go. Rugani's come out and said, like, they were 100% clear with him. You're not in. Period. So Motta is so strong and quick to just say, guys are out. See you later. And the funny thing is, you don't even have the guys you have playing a type of ball that's giving you results. And like the Fagioli thing, the Danilo thing, and you're thin. I don't get it. And the captaincy thing rolling around, I don't get it. I feel like he's overcomplicating things and maybe bringing along issues that don't need to be there. I definitely would have kept one of Rugani or Facundo Gonzalez. Like, one center back had to remain because the numbers were thin at the beginning of the year. You just knew, what if somebody goes down? Recall a single successful dribble, tackle, or duel by Koop last night. This is on Motta. Giuntoli, late transfer, but also on the player. Not winning one duel at his level. Man up, Dutchman. Koop's taking heat, and I don't think Motta's making it any better for him. It's a failure on the two of them. And again, Giuntoli is not far removed because he's working with Motta, and what they're putting together isn't delivering. And Koopmeiners, we've got to sort that out. And why not make the adjustments? He made it for one Coppa Italia game. Why did it have to die there? What's with the stubbornness? I don't understand, everybody. Another issue I had yesterday, the shots we had, we are dead. Put some power, please, and try to hit them clean. I think that shows that we lack intensity. What do you think? That was the one thing I liked about the game there yesterday, George, is actually when we did get into this mode where it was like you have a lane, take a fire, and then all of a sudden it was bouncing around after a block, and we try to hit another one, whatever, and they were blocked. But fire the ball. Fire the damn ball. What? You're struggling to get results and you want to be cute. You can't have both. If your game's solid enough and you have that much chemistry that you can be cute all the time, yeah, you want to walk the ball into goal, you want to dribble guys and then make one pass and hammer, great. But otherwise, Get the mids up there, send some numbers, get a shooting lane, and hammer that thing. And goddamn, forwards, rush in for rebounds. Get ugly. Like, you can't have it all. You can't not be getting wins and still try to keep it cute. Yesterday, we barely created anything. The shot numbers are high, but if you look at them, a ton blocked. It just needs to happen here. It just needs to... We need to do so much more better, and that's a frustrating part. We shouldn't be talking about this much, everybody, on January 12th. We really shouldn't. It needs to get better. We've got more Storm the Barns, all right, but and actually, yeah, there's a couple here. We'll just fire through rapid fire before we get into closing. There are a lot of free agents up for grabs in the summer. If Juntali doesn't bring anyone of quality for free, he's done for me. Not just that, but yeah, the experience that is available in there. I said I'm also going to be looking at Juntali and how he mixes it in, because it also can't just be young, super young, and all these guys. Like, you're going to need experienced guys too, and you're going to have to go a little bit older. You can't just say that 27, 26, 27, just entering their prime years is experience. Like, you're going to have to get some guys that might be in their 30s. You're just going to have to do that at some time because it's going to help. So we'll see. We'll see. Fitness is key this season in Serie A. And not only are we ready for that or more like J51, I have zero faith in J Medical, everybody. You guys know that. And I also questioned Motta earlier on when what he was doing with the workload and training, and I'm shocked that nobody in media had the wherewithal to actually ask that question, that if you have an injury crisis, what are your adjustments to the training that this team goes under? Because we've still seen muscular injuries. I think we're at 15, maybe 16. The number of times guys have come back from injury and then immediately gone back on the shelf is up to 6 or 7. Warning signs are there. Warning signs are there. What is our DNA? Who are we? I have no idea anymore. Well, we need to create that. We need to redefine it from a management level, and then it needs to bleed down in the players. And I thought it would happen with these guys. I thought there were signs showing us that it was going to happen. I was wrong, because I don't think we've done anything from a culture standpoint to groom any type of a DNA. And I'm pissed about it. I am absolutely livid about that. I would have signed Hummels or Sergio Ramos just for the dressing room. A lot of shouts for Ramos. And Simon Kjaer was out there too. That is an experienced defender that, again, you're not looking to replace top guys through free agency and even January because it's a shit show. But you have to at least try and support the players that you currently have and get them through that month and a half. That's a grind in 3 competitions to get to January. Any free agent would have been low risk and no commitment. I don't understand this feeling that we just couldn't have used them. Vincenzo G. Ciao Alberto, if Juntali wants or waits for season's end, and if we don't make top 4, wouldn't they fall in the old trap where they can't afford a managerial change because of no Champions League revenue? And go Pack. Yes, go Pack today. You have to find a way. You have to find a way. And like I said, top 4 is just massive because you have to keep the guys that you currently have. But making a managerial change after not getting top 4 and spending the way we did would be a massive failure. And I think you'd have to make a managerial change. As far as the finances go, he's on, Motta was brought in for what, a 3-year term, was it? I can't remember his term exactly. Does everybody have it? Does anybody remember? Or maybe we can look it up. I'll try to look it up. I think it was a 3-year term. But it's not a lot of money by any means. Yeah, so it's a 3-year contract. 3-year contract for Motta. It wasn't massive financially, and we'd have no problem breaking it, basically. And we would still be able to get a managerial change and everything. So it would hurt. You'd have to come out of pocket 10 and a bit mil. But this would be disaster. Not getting top 4. Can't stress that enough. I think there is an issue with Motta because Jalo, Gonzalez, Rugani, they all came publicly saying that they won't want to return from their loans, even knowing that we are thin. It's a bit suspect. This is not the first time Motta has had situations with players. There was one with Arnautovic that was brought to my attention by Mitch. And there was a couple other ones. So he's no stranger to it. And the way he came in, it was red hot. And this player treatment thing. What's interesting, though, is that you do have a lot of players that speak highly of him and the environment at Juve currently. So, and yes, Arnautovic has issues with everyone. It is what it is. I don't like that. I don't like that they kind of cut so much and it was just like, that's it, dead. Because look at what ended up happening. We could have used these guys. So, let's see. Joe coming in here. Let's change the air a bit. When do you think our next Scudetto will be? Our next Champions League and our first treble? Oh my goodness. How the heck am I supposed to answer that right now? Next Scudetto, I'll always say next year because optimist at heart. Honestly, I can't even answer that right now. Next Champions League, the build's gotta just build. We gotta get things right. We gotta get the business in order, but we gotta get the culture right. You gotta get the culture right. Once I see a culture redefined, and starting to remember who we are and start reminding the people that are in key positions for us, start realizing that, then I can actually properly answer this question. But right as of now, no. And I'll bring this up again for anybody that missed the pregame show yesterday. Sponsorship, financials, this team. How irresponsible is this when you hear that Calvo had multiple offers on the table? 4 offers from sponsors on the table. January 12th, we have no sponsor. We are making this much from sponsorship. 0. What are we doing? So before we want to talk Scudetto, we want to talk treble, we want to talk Champions League. Get the business right. We're dropping the ball on multiple levels, from management to coaching to players. Redefine the culture. Bring in guys that understand it, that know it. Now that I look back with Giuntoli coming in, and I thought he was going to help because I always said Scanavino and Ferraro were temps, I had this feeling that Giuntoli would be able to create some type of DNA, would be able to, he was a Juventino, all his life, that he'd be able to come in and he'd be able to show everybody the way. And he wanted to cut ties with certain things and push for this overhaul, and he was driven, and it was like, okay, let's go. He's finally got a window to kind of move. Let's see what he can do. I stand behind everything he did in the summer, but now all of a sudden you start thinking about it, he's doing nothing for DNA. He's doing nothing for culture. And some could argue, and they probably wouldn't be wrong, that it's going in the wrong direction from a culture standpoint and a DNA standpoint. So, hey, let's see. We got to get things right. Sachko, that shit show is planned, so our value goes down and Agnelli and friends can buy us cheaper. Agnelli's return is a hot topic amongst Juventini. And all I'm going to say is that I'm hearing a lot that he is working very, very hard to get back. And I said 2 weeks ago when I brought this to you all, get ready for it to mainstream. It hit mainstream, but they're saying 2 to 3 years. He's looking at quicker. But there's family issues there. And I don't think Elkan wants to even sell to him. And I think that's why we're hearing about partnerships. And he might find something in secret. Let's see, everybody. Okay, but you guys, we're gonna wrap things up there. A 1-1 draw in a must-win game. Disaster? Yeah, it's a disaster. Our coach, some say he's on the hot seat already. Some are saying it in the pregame. Some are saying he's not in the hot seat yet. Some are saying that our management would be stupid with the fact that we have no center back coverage, no striker. He simply doesn't have the tools. I disagree with that statement, especially if we say that we don't have enough to get by the likes of the teams that we are drawing. I strongly disagree. At the end of the day, the results are all that matters. We must start winning. Sadly, didn't go our way, hasn't been going our way, and now it gets extremely difficult. Atalanta on Tuesday, everybody. I'll bring you the news in the build-up and lead-up. Tuesday we'll be live for the pregame show, and then we go from there. But no matter what, like we say, Alex P, always, no matter what, Forza Juventus, we ride it out. And until Tuesday, no matter what, enjoy yourselves. Have a great remainder of your weekend. And hey, one game at a time. One game at a time. We came out of the gates feeling up here. We leveled off. And we plateaued and we stayed there for a while. Now we might be slipping down. Does this team have what it takes to turn it around, to overcome it? I believe they do. Will they? Hey, that's up to them to show us. All right? We'll be there covering it all together. As always, big thank you to you guys in the AJC Army. Absolutely fantastic. I need to set up my software because I wasn't able to pull your live comments because I usually run the solo for the news. So I apologize, but you guys are fantastic, second to none. As always, great therapy session. Great therapy session. Like Easy says, great place to vent your anger. Let it out. Let it all out. That's what we're here for, all right? We go through this. We ride or die through thick and thin together. Always. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. Until tomorrow's news update. Take care, everybody.